If we do this, there we go. I should be able to take this brake line off with no mess. Maybe one of you could explain how exactly that works, because I have no idea. You all know by now that I bought the cheapest 718 Cayman S in the whole entire country. And bit by bit, I've been rebuilding it. So far, the total build has cost me £28,283.33. That's including the car. And that also includes some of the upgrades we've been doing, like a lot of the GT4 parts. And today we're going to be replacing more broken parts and upgrading them at the same time, like this broken flexi hose. Can I have these, but better, please? Now I'm replacing the old rubber lines for braided hoses, which don't swell under braking and wear a lot better as well. But I've been ignoring the fact that we've still got a lot more problems. There's no exhaust tips, there's still a lot of dents, there's half an interior and there's no seats. It seems we have some sort of suspension damage on the rear because this wheel is pointing in and this wheel, the camber is, well, it's going that way. And best of all, we still have so many lights on the dashboard. First things first, I want to get the interior in. And one thing that we needed to replace were the seat belts. These locked out during the accident because some of the airbags blown. So I sent my old seat belts off to the airbag team. They added new tensioners on there and changed the colour of the belts to yellow. Don't worry, this will all make sense in the future. But now the seat belts will work as usual because it has new tensioners on there. And with the belts installed, I can start putting together the rest of the interior. Most of the interior is held together with loads of trims and clips. And if I'm honest, I wasn't that impressed with the quality of them. It does honestly feel like a Volkswagen Polo. And for a Porsche, you probably expect a little more. This is sound deadening, and we need to cut a section of this off because this is going to stick to the bottom side of the roof. And it should stop that tinny sound. Much better. And it did. And with the sound deadening on, I could then apply the roof liner with all the trims and clips and the lights for that. And we should just be about there now. So these were the seats that came out the car. And as you may have noticed, we're going to be getting rid of all the red in the car. And this side airbag on the seat has deployed as well. A new airbag for the seat is around £200. Then we've got to look at getting the centre of the seat coloured. And in my opinion, I don't really like the stock seats in the 718. So I went and brought myself a whole new set of seats. These are the Cayman GT seats, which are a little bit sportier, but in my opinion, a lot better. They have extra wings on the top there, like bucket seats. These don't. They've got Alcantara center. These don't. But they have the same rails, electric adjust sort of backwards and forward, and everything else is manual, just like the stock seats. So in theory, these seats should just be plug and play. And there's only one way to find if that's true, and that's to fit them. And you're probably asking, Matt, you bought a GT4 body kit. Why not buy the GT4 bucket seats? This is why. Yep, I didn't fancy spending £12,000 on a set of second-hand GT4 seats when the GTS seats cost me £1,100. Which I didn't think was too bad at all. It certainly makes me happy. How much better do these seats look? It's starting to feel and look way more like a car now. I know it does look like a kid's toy at the minute with yellow seat belts, red armrests and all the other mismatched colours in here, but we'll address that later on down the line. But there's more stuff we need to get on with. There is absolutely no reason why the Cayman should have that many warning lights on the dashboard. So we're about to plug it in and find out what exactly it's unhappy about. And also, for some reason, I have absolutely no climate control. The screen is on, so they know there's power getting to it, but none of these buttons work. The heated seats don't work. These buttons work, but they don't. So I plugged the Autel into the OBD port. And then the Surfshark logo came on the screen. Which is weird because Surfshark's a VPN tool. And they've sponsored today's video. A VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. Wow, we have a lot of faults. But best thing to do is clear all these and we'll see what comes back. You're supposed to be explaining what a VPN tool does. Oh yeah, of course. So essentially a VPN tool encrypts all the data sent via the internet so no one can steal your passwords, view your online messages, or just see what you're doing online. Oh wait, we have climate control. We have climate control after resetting the... That never happens. So maybe you thought public Wi-Fi was safe. Well, in fact, it's a gold mine for hackers, but not when using Surfshark. And that's not the only thing Surfshark can do. Check this out. Let's say you're in the UK and you're looking to stay at the Hilton Hotel in Dubai for the night. It costs £366. But if you go to the top right-hand corner to Surfshark, change the browsing location to the United States, give it a refresh, and the price is now $309 for the night. Bargain! So, to get Surfshark today, you know exactly what to do. Click the link in the description box below and use code Armstrong, and that's going to give you 83% off, plus an extra 3 months for free. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is literally no risk. The top one is for an airbag. Well, there's supposed to be an airbag in the door. We haven't put that back in yet. Second one is for the instrument cluster. This is because we got no TPMS sensors in the wheels. We've got temporary wheels on and there's no communication with that door. Again, no electrics in it. AC because there's no gas in the aircon. Front end electrics because we have no parking sensors hooked up yet. And rear end electrics because, well, there's no glass in the window. So do we still have an engine management light when we start the car? Hey! No engine management light, just the airbag light and the TPMS light. Next up, we're onto the suspension, and we're going to need the 2-post ramp for this. The left-hand side of the car took a pretty big hit in the accident, and definitely something is bent on the front and the rear of the car. Then we also need to address the exhaust later on in the video. I'm going to be starting off at the rear of the car, and just like most German cars, they're full of suspension arms. We have a rear arm, which is used to adjust the toe in and out. We have a bottom arm, which is used to adjust the camber, and then a front arm, which I'm not quite sure what that does. Like most of the crash damaged cars, I'm not really going to take a risk on this rear suspension. It's really hard to actually tell what part is damaged because it only has to be a few mil out. Just here you can see the nuts that are used to adjust the camber on each side. And you can definitely see on the left hand side it's been knocked way out. But instead of replacing arm by arm, I'm going to start removing the whole suspension leg. Once the suspension arms are connected, I can then remove the connector for the electronic handbrake, then the drop link, and then remove the rest of the electrical plugs out the way, like the brake wear sensor and the ABS sensor. I've got to take the caliper off, and then the brake disc, and then finally remove the wheel hub from the suspension strut, not forgetting the drive shaft as well. And there it is, one wheel hub out the way with all the suspension arms on. I managed to pick up a second-hand, or should I say brand new second-hand wheel hub with all the arms on from eBay. That way I know now everything else is straight. And then it's just a case of doing everything that I've just done, but in reverse order. Remembering to preload the suspension before I tighten everything up. And moment of truth. Here we go, but I'm feeling confident. I think it actually looks pretty straight at the minute. Much better. We now have a rear wheel pointing in the right direction. In fact, it's probably pointing a little further out than it should, but we can get all the towing done afterwards on the wheel alignment. Now we move over to the front before we get to the exciting stuff, the exhaust. So on the front, which I think took most of the hit, I can see quite clearly it's damaged the drop link, but I'm not quite sure what else has. Again, it's really hard to tell. I also noticed that there's a little nick in the brake disc as well, so I'm not going to take any risks on that. First off, the under tray's got to come off, then I can access the bolts for the lower front arm and remove it. Again, it's really difficult to tell whether this is bent or not. So I'm going to carry on and remove the center arm. Now, I couldn't find a full wheel hub replacement on eBay for this, so I had to go direct to Porsche for both of the lower arms. And just hope that this fixes it and I don't need a new wheel hub. I've now got the main lower arm in place, and I can remove that old drop link and replace it with a new one that I got from Porsche. Again, not badly priced. And once that's in, I can put the front arm in. Then I can preload the suspension all up, tighten the bolts, and then hopefully that sorted the camber issue out on the front. If I'm honest, I think we could be dealing with a bent wheel hub here. I don't think that's made any difference, but it might be too early to say. There's no damage up here to the actual strut tower, and this actually does have camber adjust, so you can actually move that in and out, and it's all the way in at the minute, as is the other side, but I just think it's still cambering the wrong way, so it's looking like it could be a new wheel hub. And I have found one here on eBay for 70 quid, so it's not too bad. I guess that's what I get for just trying to get away with replacing two arms. Next up, I'm going to remove the brake disc. And then I contacted Design 911 to see if there was any upgrades for the brakes whilst I was replacing them. And sure enough, there was. We've got these humongous brake discs now. I am not convinced that these are going to work with the stock caliper. They're absolutely massive. But apparently they do. These brake discs should be an OEM fitment and work with the OEM caliper and the brake pads, which seems crazy because they are so big. I'm also replacing the brake pads for EBC yellow stuff brake pads as well. So we're upgrading everything here. Then I've just got to see whether the stock caliper actually fits over the new brake disc. These are definitely not going to work with the stock calipers. I'm nowhere near where it should mount. It should be around there. I don't know whether you need spacers. Yep. Well, that's a fail. Oh my God. I'm so stupid. Inside the box, there is actually some bolts, and you can see here little spacers to sort of space out the brake caliper. Well, I was wrong. You can see here how much longer the new bolts are, and with the anodized spacer to space out the caliper, I now have two uprated brake discs and pads on the front of the car. I also changed the drop link on the driver's side as well, just to be sure. One thing that we said we was going to do in a previous video but never got round to doing it was giving this car a service. We have no idea how much oil is in this car because there's no dipstick, and you have to warm the car up to temperature for the computer to read the oil level. So I've drained all the oil out, and I'm also going to be changing the oil filter as well, which is in such an awkward position underneath the wheel arch. But I eventually managed to squeeze in and get the oil filter out. In goes a new oil filter, a new seal, and then I can pop it back onto the engine. Next up, the spark plugs, which are in an equally annoying place. There's only 4 on this engine, being 4-cylinder, but they are each side of the engine, and you access it through each wheel arch. You can see the 2 coil packs here. There's a T30 just holding both of the coil packs in, then a 14mm spark plug socket will get them out. You can see the difference between an old spark plug and the new spark plug. They don't look actually too bad, to be honest. But at least I've got peace of mind now that they've actually been changed. Service is done. There's no dipstick in this, so we have to start the car to make sure everything's okay, which is a little bit nerve-wracking all the time after a service as well. Oh, she's good. Oil measurement. Unavailable. I guess we just have to wait for it to warm up. Surely we are at the right temperature now. 100 degrees in the oil. Let's measure the oil. There, yes. Oh, we need a little top up, I think. Oh no. Yeah, we're good, we're all green. Now we can move on to the fun part, the exhaust. So in the last video, me and Liam cut the tips off the exhaust system so we could fit the diffuser, because the Cayman normally has center exit exhaust and the GT4 has an exhaust each side. Today, we're going to rectify it and make it a little louder. I'm curious to hear what this sounds like because it is only a 4-cylinder, 2.5 litre. So at the minute, no exhaust tips. We're gonna go. Yeah, it's kind of like Subaru vibes. Is that it? Yeah, it's not the greatest of sounding cars. So the exhaust system on the Cayman is actually pretty simple. The turbo is here, the exhaust comes off there, the catalytic converter's there, it branches off down here, it then splits into two. It goes one branch off down there, which heads off through the wheel arch in there, very strange, and then into the back box there, and it pretty much does a mirror image on the other side into the back box, which usually should have some exhaust tips coming out here into the center, but we need them to come out of here.
So if that's a 2.5 litre turbo,
yeah,
but you've got a GT4 kit,
yeah,
what exhaust do you bought?
I've actually bought a Miltech exhaust for a 718 Cayman S.
No, you haven't.
I have, because if I bought an exhaust for a GT4, the GT4 is a naturally aspirated engine. It has different exits to what a Cayman S has. So I've had to buy an exhaust to fit a Cayman S, but we're gonna have to modify it because this is the usual exit point, which of course goes out the exit.
The back.
But we're gonna have to change this, and we'll get onto that later on how we're gonna do it.
How's it sound?
How's it sound? Yeah. Whoa! So what I've essentially bought from Miltech is a back box delete kit. It's going to replace the pipes that lead towards the back box, but with no back box or muffler in there if you're American. And I'm pretty sure as well the Miltech exhaust is a little wider than the stock exhaust. So me and Liam are now getting off the standard exhaust, and then we can start to line up the new Miltech one. And you can see exactly here the difference between the Miltech and the stock exhaust. It's pretty much the same thing, but without the back box, as I said. Now I find it bizarre how the exhaust runs so close to the shock absorber, but I guess there's no other way it could route. The clearance is literally within millimeters of it. So we've got to get this spot on. Once we've got that pipe on, we can then connect another connecting pipe which leads towards where the back box would be. And this connects to the car with one of the weirdest exhaust clamps I've ever seen. So exhaust is on, there's not much of it, and this is the part where we're gonna have to make a few modifications. And the exhaust the exhaust goes straight to here now, and the part that you get with Miltech is this. So this would go like that, and then you would have two exhaust tips like these, which are actually quite nice exhaust tips. They would go on like that and shoot out the back, and actually looks pretty cool. But we have no need for these exhaust tips, and only, well, not really any need for these. This is the solution. So, Design 911, I contacted them again and said, right, I need to convert my exhaust from a 718 Cayman S to a GT4. So they do this kit here, which goes on the stock exhaust. So this is for a stock exhaust, not a Miltech. Sits sort of around like that, and then you get exhaust tips, which sit, yeah, like, oh, these could be quite far back, you know. So we've got to make something out of the Miltech and this thing from Design 911 to make this thing work with a new diffuser. Let's do it. Liam took the role as a fabricator, and I took the role as, well, just seeing whether it would work or not. And it only took us about half an hour to realise it's probably not going to work. Well, it looks like we've failed with this. We're just a bit too short, aren't we? Like, yeah, so that's just the same size as that, so it's not working. But that doesn't mean we can't get a start up and hear what, because it wouldn't sound any different with the exhaust tips off or on, would it? It's not going to make any sound different. So it seems like we're going to have to be like this until we can get an exhaust fabricated, unfortunately. I have no idea what this is going to sound like. Let's just do it. Very, very turbo-y at the minute. We'll let it warm, and then we'll come back. Okay, at the minute, it doesn't sound like, it just sounds the same, but a little bit louder. Let's have a few revs. What the hell? That sounds way better than I expected.
It's not bad for a Porsche.
That sounds sick.
Yeah, that sounds sick, doesn't it?
That sounds sick.
What the hell?
It needs a zero cell sports cat though, I think.
Yeah, I think it does need
You need a
it.
zero cell sports cap.
That sounds sick for like a
little
four-cylinder.
Oh, Liam, that sounds loads
That's
better than
loads
yours.
That's loads better than
So
yours.
much better.
It's such a shame we couldn't get the exhaust tips on though.
Yeah, you're alright.
I have to do a shout out to Towbarexpress for fitting the tow bar on the Range Rover because we've used it so much more than we actually thought. It's a removable one as well, so I'll put a link in the description for them. For now, let's strap the Cayman. And that is it, ready. So the Cayman's now going to the body shop and you probably won't see it for about 4 or 5 weeks, but when we see it next, it hopefully will have no dents in it, no scratches, and it will be a completely different colour, and then we get to rebuild it for real. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out. Ah, the wheel don't fit.